Oh, I'm excited about this. They're all in the man cave right now. The former Senator Stephen Conroy, he's just here to help, remember? And of course, Hollie Hughes, Liberal in New South Wales. May she stay in the Parliament for as long as she wishes. So, this polling that came around today, it's interesting to read. Again, it's the first of a series of things. A trend is not one poll, all the rest of it, right? But they're obviously trying to find the best possible bounce out of the announcement last week. The best they can do is 47% of people agree, but just 51% of people agree. The single largest demo that disagrees are young voters. And I think that's because, in the same way there are lots of issues that work like this, and this is why negative gearing worked against Shorten and franking credits worked against Shorten, is you might earn 200 grand now, but you hope to do it one day, or you hope your kid does one day, and that seems to be not quite lead balloon, not quite a dead cat bounce right now, but not exactly the circuit breaker the PM wanted.
Well, when you're talking about a poll in The Guardian, for a start, we're not exactly talking about the bastion of conservative politics here, or someone looking for a story that's going to be in any way slightly favourable to the coalition. And the best they could come up with is this. That's when you are running to the bottom of the barrel to just try and develop some spin. But you are 100% correct. When this lie, this broken promise that Albanese has now delivered to the Australian people is an absolute slap in the face to every Australian, whether it is my 16-year-old daughter, whether it's the grandparents hoping to leave something behind the kids, that aspiration is dead. Aspiration will no longer be rewarded in this country, and we don't want to see you striving for that next level.
But also, obviously, we know where the Liberal Party's going to be saying this, lie, broken promise, lie, right? The Prime Minister is still being asked about it in the week where you're out there and selling, and you know in the cat's whiskers of Labor politics that if you're being asked the question that is the main attack of your opposition, you are not quite winning the argument.
So, Labor have a big sell to do over the next 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think it's going to be an absolutely fascinating 5 weeks because on the one hand, Albo is getting those questions and he's going to keep for a little while getting those questions. On the other, Peter Dutton can't tell the Australian public whether he's going to break his promise, which was he supports the tax cuts, by voting for a different set of tax cuts that is not what he wants.
Yeah.
So Dutton and the shadow cabinets have got a real challenge to try and thread this needle. And I've been in this position, I can't tell you how many times, where you've got to make it, do you pick the fight, you say, no, we're voting against the tax cuts for 80% of Australians versus 20, or do you say, we'll just let it go through and we'll tell you what our policy is in a year's time at the election?
My thing on this is it's pretty simple, right? Which is where I think they should end up. We'll always back a tax cut, but we'll fight back a creep, right? However, it'll be interesting to see when that decision has to be announced. Because remember, when all of this was going through the Parliament in 2017 and then reaffirmed afterwards, Labor would talk against it and then vote for it, right? This was their move in order to create the small target that they took to the 22 election. So we'll see, again, where this lands. But as an idea, Stephen, is this the idea that the economy needs or that the government needs? Tax cuts are always important, and we always know that you can spin it up to the total cost over 400 years, or you can break it down to what it is per hour, right? Yeah. But the reality is people get paid per week, by fortnight, by month, and I don't think the number's big enough for a huge amount of people to say life is better. Yeah,
I think Michaela Cash, unfortunately, had a bit of a train wreck of an interview on KG this morning where she dismissed a $40 tax cut. Which I think she will walk back very quickly.
Yes, I agree.
So the number is 40, not 20. It's 20 without the change. 40 is not bad. 40 is something you can hang your hat and says we're doing
2 milkshakes, 2 pies.
Well, yeah, but 40's at the upper end. $40,000 a year, it's $15 a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, this is not Amanda Vanstone saying, it's a milkshake and a burger.
Yeah.
But this is...
It's not a milkshake and a burger if it's $15. You can't even buy a medium-sized Happy Meal at McDonald's.
I can confirm that. As a hefty gent, I can confirm.
Okay, I'm going to go maybe with the Big Mac or the quarter pounder meal. Sorry, I didn't mean to say the Happy Meal.
I've been in McDonald's very recently. I have to disagree slightly.
I have 3 teenagers. I'm there often enough as well. But that's why I know the medium size of a quarter pounder meal is
That's
about
when
that.
you know Labor's winning the argument when we're discussing which fast food option it's going to be the turnaround on.
My mistake. But, Stephen, you can spin this whatever way you like. We know that since this Labor government's come into power, the average Australian's real wage has declined by over $8,000 per year.
Well, real wages,
this
you're talking
tax
about interest
is going to
rates.
provide them $800 a year. So 10% of what they've lost will be coming back to them. They have already lost $8,000 a year. Mortgage rates, mortgage and rent, energy prices, grocery prices, insurance prices, everything has gone up, and they've already lost in real wages $8,000 per year, and this tax cut at best is going to give them 10% of that back. So they're taking from one, they're giving back a little amount, but it's also interesting to know that this change is going to generate $28 billion over the next 10 years. This is not a tax cut. This is a tax grab, and that tax grab is going to be, I don't know, Stephen, here's some language you guys understand.
That's over $280 billion over 20 years. I mean,
5 referendums a year could be paid for by this tax grab. 5 referendums a year.
If you're going to run that line, please keep going.
Well,
because no one is going to take any notice. That's $2 billion
this is a tax grab.
A year.
It's not a tax.
Feel free.
If you want to say...
That's your worst line. You've got 5 other better lines. That's your worst.
5 referendums per year are going to be gained by this tax grab.
You're the only one who's still talking about the referendum.
Oh, mate, let me tell you, there's lots of people still talking about the referendum. You know where else they're talking about the referendum?
They've moved on.
Just because you guys don't want to talk about the referendum, most Australians remember how Albanese tried to divide this country, and we have now seen on Australia Day more division and absolutely more vitriol based on the fact that Albanese has done nothing but drive division in this country. He is not interested in unity. He's not interested in one Australia coming together.
Simply not true.
It's absolutely reality,
okay.
Stephen.
And I think Paul made the point a little earlier that if you look at the polling on how many people want to change Australia Day, it's actually less than it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
Because of the referendum.
People have responded to the referendum. That's why. The referendum honed people's interest on that and realised they don't want to change it. They want one Australia.
Were the smallest and weakest in intensity.
I agree. Don't refer to Invasion
Just because
Day.
somebody... No, I'm using their phrase.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm proud of Australia. I can happily live with this
Stephen,
date.
you are a good Labor right.
Yeah.
You, my darling, are in the very small minority at the moment.
No,
I can imagine Labor right tearing their hair out at what this left-wing Prime Minister's doing.
I have no doubt. But it is very interesting, that thing that after a year, the support for the separate date and change it down 8%. Right, thanks, Albo. Appreciate a few more years of Australia.
He said he was going to make sure he supported Australia Day. It's happening.
You know what?
That's the reverse Faraday. He's here to help.
I'm a monarchist, and there'll be no Republican referendum coming up anytime soon.